we're gonna head into our last little bit here, and I'm gonna give you all a heads up. Spoilers. Welcome to Boba's Book Club.
Hold on.
Oh, you need me to do it again? Welcome to Boba's Book Club.
These are so dirty. I haven't put these on since I was in the office.
Are those your blue light blockers?
Yeah, I've been working from home for 2 years.
Right.
I wanted to look bookish.
Right.
Glasses.
Right.
Reading glasses.
You need some readers, yeah. So yes, we are talking about the Book of Boba Fett, and right off the bat, I really like this show.
Yes, I think I was talking to my sister today about Book of Boba Fett. I was like, have you watched it? And she was like, no. Actually, it might have been Catherine. Anyway, they asked me how it was, and I was like, it's really good. It reminds me of the first season of The Mandalorian. It's like this, like, chill, like, a lot of stuff is happening. We're covering a lot of ground, present and past.
Right.
But it still feels like I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
And it's chill and relaxed. But it's got that same kind of, like, we're leading up to something. This is just, these first 3 episodes are just, like, building blocks.
Right.
And we're getting to something big and important towards the end.
I don't disagree with you. I do appreciate about this show, though, it is doing something different than The Mandalorian. Like, yes, it does have those same, like, I mean, it inherently has a similar feel to it, but I always say it, no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans. So a common complaint about The Mandalorian, and again, this is just like the smallest minority of people, are like, oh, well, it's just, you know, there's a new problem to solve every week, and it's kind of the same episode over and over. And I'm like, okay, whatever, I guess. And now that this show is kind of like doing a little more of like a one like continuous story arc, as opposed to like meeting new characters each time and like figuring something out and getting something from someone and blah blah blah. It kind of feels a little more like your standard drama, not standard, but like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it has a longer story arc, which I like, and I like that it's bouncing back and forth between present and past, because we're noticing now the first 3 episodes in that they're kind of starting to intercross a little bit. And now, especially with that last episode, and we'll talk a little bit about it in just a second, people are complaining. They're saying like, oh, that's not Star Wars. This doesn't feel like Star Wars. And I'm like,
Star Wars is like so many movies and TV shows and books
and games.
How can, I mean...
Well, here's the thing, is that you're saying that this vast galaxy far, far away, which there's more than one galaxy, there's a whole outer rim, and there's all these different worlds. You're telling me that all of it, every single part of it, has to fit the same mold that you've created in your head, otherwise it's not Star Wars? Sir, you can promptly and expeditiously eat my ass, because I just hate when these little toxic fanboys get into their shit. Sorry.
Wow, he's going off.
Sorry. It's
just the common, you're not ever going to make something that pleases everybody.
Right.
I never even thought about how The Mandalorian was kind of like rise and fall every episode, and because we would even say like there are different themes. There's like the prison break episode.
Right.
Feels completely different from like the very first episode, or the one where they're taxiing that lady's egg sack.
Yeah.
That feels like a completely different episode. But that's like one of the things that I love about The Mandalorian.
They do it well. So like,
but I also don't mind having something big that we're learning a little bit about each episode, having 2 things kind of that we're learning. We're learning a bit about this weird gang that's thieving shit.
Right.
And then we're learning about how the fuck did Boba Fett survive? How did he get here? Like, all that stuff that people have had questions about for forever. I
love that the first episode is verbatim the exact description that Patton Oswalt's character from Parks and Rec gave in that show. And I know everyone went crazy about that.
Yeah. But I'm surprised people remember him saying that so well that they were like, hang on a second.
I watch that show all the time. So I would like, I've seen that episode several times, and I did think of that, but I didn't realize how close.
It was like, it was like, even to like the cadence that he was saying it, it was happening like back to back. It was insane. I hope he got some sort of heads up or like special screening or something. He deserves it.
Yeah, because I don't know if the writers for Parks and Rec came up with that, or honestly, if he made that up.
Probably made it up.
Yeah. Because in that episode, he was specifically filibustering.
Yes.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he just made some shit up.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. I love that. Yeah, episode 1 was dope. We kind of see Boba Fett as the new what's it called? Daimyo? Daimyo? He's the new crime boss.
He's the new crime lord of the city. Of
this city. And we just see him, kind of accepting tributes and all sorts of things. See that little fucking finicky little mayor's lackey. Yes. I knew something was up with him from the moment we saw him.
Yes.
It was a pretty cool episode. We got some flashbacks there. Him escaping the Sarlacc pit, getting his armor stripped from him by the thievy little Jawas. And then being held as a prisoner by the Tuskens. And then that through line, that flashback story kind of takes place over the next several. I'm assuming it'll go all season until they merge. One of my favorite moments, Boba Fett straight up kills a guy with a rocket. He kills one man.
Literally, first of all, you didn't have anything else in your arsenal to kill one guy.
I think he was just pissed.
He was just upset. Rocketed the shit out of him. And then Fennec, is it Fennec?
Fennec Shand. Fennec.
That's what I thought. Fennec pushed one of them off of a fucking...
Yeah, she's building. Like, I'm not here to fuck around, y'all.
Like, I don't even need both of you. I only need one. Love Fennec.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I was actually mentioning to whoever asked about Boba Fett earlier, I said that it was kind of political. It's almost like a political, not mob, but almost kind of like a mobby.
This is
type of, and which is very different to the Western that Mandalorian is.
No, I think you're right. I think this is very space Mad Men, space Sopranos kind of deal. I don't think you're.
Okay, I'm not too far off on that.
No,
that's
what I think
it's feeling like to me, which again is interesting. It's new and different. That's not a bad thing.
Right. That's the thing that I love about especially going into the Disney Plus era of these properties with Star Wars and Marvel and things like that. And even Peacemaker. I love that we can now explore new genres and new themes and tell new types of stories in new types of ways. Star Wars didn't become Star Wars by doing the same thing. It did it by pushing boundaries. It was unlike any other sci-fi. So I appreciate that, we're exploring more. And yeah, so episode 1 was pretty good, but episode 2 was really good. So the episode 2 is the tribes of Tatooine.
Yes.
And this one was actually mostly flashbacks. But we learned a lot about Boba Fett and his relationship with the Tuskens. He started out as a prisoner, but then he kind of slowly was becoming one of them, and he was learning from them. They were learning from him. He fought with them. He fought for them, and it was a really, really, really neat story that I wasn't expecting, and it was kind of a new origin story for the Boba Fett we have now, as opposed to the Boba Fett we knew nothing about.
Yeah, it was almost even though he survived what was that called? Sarlacc?
Yeah.
Even though he survived the Sarlacc pit, that Boba Fett died.
Right.
That Boba Fett was gone. And the Boba Fett we have now is a completely different changed man.
Right.
Who after that time was mostly around the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
And something that I really appreciate as an anthropologist anyway, something that I appreciate is that we got a little bit of it in The Mandalorian. That's when I was introduced to the Tusken Raiders. I don't know who the fuck they were. I didn't watch any Star Wars, anything. Right. But we got a little snippet of how people treated them versus how Din treated them, which was with respect and understanding. So you could kind of see that cultural divide. And now, spending more time with them, you're seeing even more cultural practices, traditions, celebrations, food, drink, how they raise their children.
Right.
How they think of the land and animals in it and all that kind of stuff. All of that is super interesting.
Yeah.
And something that from what I have heard in the beginning, there were Tuskens in the original. Yeah. But they were just kind of background characters, filler species, because there's so much going on all the time.
Right.
And then I think from there they kind of got that reputation. I kept wanting to say representation. That's not right. They got the reputation of being savages.
Right.
Malicious.
Right.
aggressive. They were called sand people.
Right.
Like, all that's super racist.
Right.
So to see now they have like a language and a hierarchy, and you can see that and appreciate it as Boba learns about it and appreciates it. I think that's super, super cool of them to do.
Absolutely. And especially when you, to yes and what you just said, when you think about how much Westerns have directly influenced Star Wars, the original Star Wars movies. Yeah, George Lucas would put a character that was more or less representative of the native population. And yeah, our main heroes would kind of refer to them as savages, because that's what like the cowboys would do in those movies.
Right.
And yeah, but to get that insight into their practices from a cultural standpoint is really cool. And I'm curious, once the Disney gallery on this comes out, as to what cultures they pulled from, because the episode ends with this really, really beautiful, tribal dance they do to kind of finish initiating Boba Fett into their tribe. It's really, really cool. In between all that, though, we do get that nasty little acid lizard that just... Talk about just a jarring moment, a din-jarring moment.
Very din-jarring. It was like, it was part of the Tusken, whatever this rite of passage was. That's what it felt like to me. Like something that they probably do when children become adults or something like that. So part of this initiation is basically you have to go on a soul journey. That's also a physical journey to go find, a gaffy tree?
Yeah.
Where you bring back like the wood that they use to make your weapon, your stick, your gaffy stick. So they're in the middle of the fucking desert. Where the fuck are you going to find a tree? It doesn't matter, because the lizard will tell you how. So when they brought out this fucking lizard, how have they been keeping it alive? Firstly. Secondly,
it eat brain.
I thought, like, is this going to be a lucky grasshopper in Mulan situation where he was going to be like led by this lizard? And then they opened it and I was like, does he need to eat the lizard? And then the lizard jumped up his nose. I assume it went inside of his brain. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Anyway, it chewed around up there and led him to the only tree. He like blacked out and was tripping hard.
Right.
And he saw the Jawas, which I thought was very interesting. He saw the sand that looked like waves, which is indicative of where he is now versus his home planet, which was covered in fucking oceans.
Water. Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And like he was awake when the Jawas took his armor.
He probably thought that was the last thing he was going to see alive.
Right. So it would make sense that they left such an impact that he would hallucinate them in mid-trip. But it was very interesting. The tree swallowed him up, and then he got his stick, and it was really cool. But I didn't expect a fucking lizard to go up someone's nose.
No.
And quite frankly, it was disgusting.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking gross. And it was cool to see him. We saw that he had a gaffy stick in The Mandalorian season 2, but it was cool to see that he actually made that himself. It's not like something he just took from someone.
He made it and he earned it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was...
I like it.
This whole story that he has with the Tuskens is actually very beautiful, and I can really appreciate Robert Rodriguez and Jon Favreau's take on just this type of story. We also learned, y'all, there are more Hutts. The Hutts ain't gone just because Jabba's gone,
and they're just as, if not more, disgusting.
Yeah, because they're twins. But like, why are y'all so close?
Why y'all touching like that?
Y'all drying your like sweat and drool with little rats. You're making these poor fucking people just carry you around like Xerxes in 300. Yeah. And they're like shaking the whole time.
Yeah, they're fucking struggling.
I wrote here, somebody find Diego Luna.
Oh, yeah. Because Diego Luna is really interested in the texture
of Yaba. Yeah.
I love Diego Luna so much. He's so cute.
Kendra and I had 2 oh shit moments back to back because we saw the Hutts. I remember I was like, oh shit. And then we see this fucking massive Wookiee come out. His name is Black Chrysanthemum.
Which is like, why?
But we were also like, we saw him come out, this huge man. We both went, oh shit.
Like, why do they have to make like a cool, tough looking Wookiee? They already were like big and intimidating.
Right.
I guess
Chewy
kind of became lovable.
Right.
So maybe they were like worried that people, if they just saw a Wookiee, they'd be like, looks cute.
This motherfucker's like...
No, they made sure this man did not look cute. He's terrifying.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
And he has dreads. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he just be Chrysantan or whatever? What's his name?
Chrysanthemum.
Chrysantan.
Black Chrysanthemum. And if that motherfucker wants to be called Black Chrysanthemum,
I'll call him whatever he wants to be called.
apparently, when he made his debut in the Star Wars comics, one of his nicknames was BK.
Okay.
So
Burger
I'm like,
King.
okay, Burger King. Yeah, I like that.
I like that, actually.
But yeah, that shit was crazy. That was a really great episode.
Bonky Kong. BK. Bonky Kong is here.
Jesus.
He looks like fucking Bonky Kong.
So episode 3, The Streets of Mos Espa. This one was also crazy. And I saw someone on Twitter describe this episode as serving mexcellence. And I gotta say, I completely agree.
Okay.
This, I don't know why. I mean, I still think as of right now, the best episode so far is episode 2, just because it was just a very, very good episode. But yeah, there's just something so fun about this particular episode. Seeing how Boba Fett becomes this social justice warrior by hiring the poor after they've robbed a man who's been charging an arm and a leg for water. Love that for him. Love that for them as well, because they have some really cool moments. We see this kind of scary moment of fucking Boba getting jumped by BK, but luckily he just hired the squad, because if he didn't, I think he fully would have been killed.
Yeah, he would have been dead.
Yeah. Because this BK is a bounty hunter, which I didn't realize upon the first watch. So
that makes sense. A bounty hunter hired by the Hutts.
Right. But even all those fucking people fighting this big ass Wookiee, like, he wasn't going down.
No.
And
he
so
had to be tricked into a trap door.
Into the and not the Sarlacc pit. The trapdoor to the Rancor pit.
Yes.
Then the Hutts fucking dip. They're like, actually, we don't want none of this. We don't want the smoke.
Yeah, they didn't want the smoke.
And
they didn't want their fucking Wookiee.
They didn't want their Wookiee, and they didn't want their Rancor.
Yeah.
Which they gifted Boba. Do you think it's the same one from Bad Batch?
Yes.
Really?
I think so.
See, I didn't.
Because we knew that it wasn't the other one.
Right.
So I think for them to be introducing this, and I also think the Bad Batch is going to play a lot more into this than any other show.
Right. My only thing is that they mentioned in Book of Boba Fett that the Rancor that they found, or that was gifted, was a calf.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, the timeline there's like a good 30 something years between all that.
How long do they might take forever to age?
Like little baby Grogu.
Exactly. And it was a lot bigger than the one in the Bad Batch.
Right.
I think we might get a moment, and this, y'all, this might come around and bite me in the ass, because this might not happen at all. But I think we might get a moment where I almost called her 11, and that is not correct, because that's
Omega.
Stranger Things. I think Omega might see that Rancor and be like, I know you.
That's Mochi.
That's Mochi.
Yeah, and then I love that. BK fucking dips, and him running was the funniest thing.
He didn't need to run, is the thing.
He just went.
He didn't need to run.
He just started fucking running.
Yeah, but that showed us a couple of things. He's not loyal to any one particular person. He's loyal to whoever has the fucking money, because he's a bounty hunter.
I hope that motherfucker could have fully been killed, and it would have been
100%.
justified.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that he holds on to that, and he's like, I owe you, and he comes back and he helps
life debt.
Boobie Fett.
I mean, that's how he got. I mean, fucking Boba Fett saved Fennec Shan, and that's how she stuck by his side. So if he assembles his own crew of bounty hunters,
I think he's assembling a really bizarre foster home.
Right.
I've said that before.
Right.
With these weird kids, these fucking Power Ranger ass kids.
Yeah. Before we get to them, I want to get back to this Rancor.
Okay.
The Rancor. I mean, it's nasty, but it's also kind of cute. It's very sweet.
Yes.
But even more so, y'all, Machete is in Star Wars now.
Yeah. I saw him rolling up and I said, wait a minute.
Fucking Machete, Danny Trejo, Robert Rodriguez's boy. Mm-hmm. He said, I'm going to a galaxy far, far away, and I'm bringing you with me, Holmes. And that just made me so fucking happy. And just one example of true excellence in this episode. And I thought he was gonna have no lines.
Me too. I thought,
but it looks like he's gonna be on the show because he's gonna be
like
the Rancor handler.
Yeah.
So
good for him.
I mean, I know he has a bit of a past, but you know what? That's a man who's turned his life around. I mean, he's like involved in gangs and shit.
I had no idea.
Yeah, big time.
I know him exclusively. I've only ever seen him in Spy Kids.
In Spy Kids?
Yes.
Yeah. Where he played Machete.
Yeah.
But not the same Machete
No.
as the movie Machete, where is by the same director from Spike.
Anyway,
the Machete verse. So yeah, that just made me smile cheek to cheek. I love seeing him in this. And like what I was saying is that seeing where he's gone in his career and his life, I'm just like, man, I'm real proud of him. So I love that. And we also get this, like, I wrote American Graffiti here as an example because it's another George Lucas movie, but we get this buck wild LA street movie chase scene in the middle of this episode.
Pretty cool.
It was so cool. And that's one of the parts that people were complaining about.
I can see that people being like, this doesn't feel like Star Wars. I can understand that.
I didn't mind it. And I like that all that it's doing is creating more things that can feel like Star Wars. And I love the fact that they had these colorful ass bikes and a fucking lowrider. And I'm just like, this is everything I need. This is everything I need. Yeah, I actually really, really love that scene. I knew those nasty fish fucks were going to be the bad guys. I don't know if says something about me, but the minute I saw him in episode 2, I was like, I don't trust these fucking things.
John doesn't even like fish.
I don't even like fish.
Like to eat them.
So overall, now that that's all said and done, I'm really liking this show so far.
I like it too.
I'm curious to see if it will kind of stay isolated in its own thing, or if it will tie back into what's going on with The Mandalorian and Ahsoka Tano and things like that.
I think if it gets involved in either of those two shows, it'll be very minimally. Just like the biggest thing I can see is like an episode where they come together to work on something, kind of like, although Boba was in a lot of the second season of The Mandalorian, but
right.
Just kind of like those types of missions, like one-off missions where they need to help each other with something.
Right.
We did see the mechanic from Mandalorian.
Yeah, she made a little cameo.
It was just like the back of her head walking. I'd know that hair anywhere.
And her little robots.
And her robots. So that was in the last episode of Boba Fett, and she was like a really big part of both seasons of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
What was her name? Pelimoto?
Yeah.
So that was really cool seeing that. And like, if you didn't know, you weren't missing anything.
Right.
But I just happened to notice it. And I was like, I know that bitch. Because we even mentioned, because they're on the same planet. They're in the same area. They're in the same city.
Right.
So I was like, they might run into each other. If anyone from Mandalorian would run into her, it's them and this sheriff. Right.
But I'm saying, like, I wonder if, because there's clearly like a big overarching villain, that blue fuck, what's his name? Thrawn.
General or admiral?
I don't know.
Grand
Admiral Thrawn.
Oh, I don't know if they're going to share those villains, because that sounds very much like a setup for her show.
Right, but that's a pretty big deal. I mean, from what I understand, in the animated and like extended universe or legacy, whatever's not canon anymore. But from what I understand, he was like a big bad. So especially if what we're focusing on is like them rebuilding the empire, I could see, a big name like that being kind of the catalyst for a lot of that. So, because what I believe the original intention was for them to have like all these spinoffs from The Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, Ahsoka Tano, several other shows, I assume was going to eventually lead up to some sort of big team up with all of these characters.
Defenders.
To go against him. That's what I assumed. So I'm curious if this story will play into that. It doesn't seem that way, but it'll be interesting because I'm assuming we'll see Boba Fett with Din Djarin again at some point.
Yeah.
But overall, really, really love what they're doing. And I'm just happy that this trend of Latin excellence in Star Wars is continuing with this show, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
It's like, goddamn.
Yeah.
There are a lot of y'all in here now.
I know. And
I'm okay with it.
And so parts of this, I mean, I love that they're staying true to like, they're being respectful of various cultures, Again, I'm still excited to learn what cultures they were pulling from for that like Tuscan dance scene and things like that. And like their wardrobe and stuff like that. But I know just based on his fighting style alone, they were incorporating a lot of his like Maori.
I never know how to say it.
Maori. But like they were pulling from his own culture,
which I have a feeling they might do that for a lot of it,
right?
Which is what I would kind of hope.
But I was gonna say, like, even I was making kind of jokes about it before, but like there are certain shots and just even musical things that I don't know, to me feel very Mexican, which is Robert Rodriguez. He puts his own culture into all of his stuff. So like, I don't know, it's a really interesting thing to do with a big property like this, and I really, really appreciate it. But more importantly, I want to know what y'all think of the Book of Boba Fett. thus far. So please drop those comments in the comment section below. Anyway, I think that is it for us.
I think so too.
And yeah, we will be back very soon with another stream. That is it. Say some final words to the people, Kendra.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We got to get out of here. All right, y'all. Peace and blessings.
Peace and love.
Peace.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, feel free to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. All right, see you next time.